The sun was shining brightly over downtown Chicago, its rays glinting off the glass facades of the towering skyscrapers. Emily Thompson, a poised and elegant 38-year-old woman with a determined gaze, was driving her sleek sedan toward her office. Heartfelt Matches, a highly successful matchmaking agency renowned for providing discreet companionship solutions for those needing a temporary partner for social events. For Emily, life had become a series of meticulously crafted agreements and contracts, where love was treated more as a business transaction than a heartfelt emotion. Yet somewhere deep inside, a lingering truth persisted, a lesson she had heard long ago but chose to ignore. Love isn't about finding someone you can live with. It's about finding someone you can't imagine living without. As Emily arrived at her office building, she exchanged a brief greeting with her assistant, Laura, before heading to her spacious office. It was then that a conversation at the reception desk caught her attention. Laura was speaking with a man who exuded authority, tall, impeccably dressed, with neatly combed silver hair that added to his distinguished appearance. He carried an air of sophistication that was hard to overlook. His name was Michael Anderson, a 42-year-old executive who had just reviewed the latest catalog of available companions for hire. "None of these women are what I'm looking for," Michael remarked, clearly dissatisfied. "I need someone to accompany me to a business closing in New York, to an event where I need to present a family image, not that of a perpetual bachelor. It's essential that she exudes elegance, culture, and natural grace. These ladies, while attractive, just don't meet my standards. They're missing something I can't quite put my finger on." At that moment, Emily, the owner of Heartfelt Matches, entered the reception area. Michael turned to look at her, and his expression changed instantly. There was something about her presence, her confident demeanor, the way she moved with assuredness, the modulation of her voice, that captivated him. "Hello," he greeted, extending his hand. "I'm Michael Anderson. May I ask who you are?" he inquired, intrigued. "I'm Emily Thompson, the founder of this agency," she responded firmly, accepting his handshake with a subtle, composed smile. Michael took a moment to assess her, his eyes lingering on her with a mixture of curiosity and interest. "You're exactly what I'm looking for," he declared. "I'd like to hire you as my personal companion." Emily looked at him in disbelief. While his proposal was flattering, her professionalism and pride wouldn't allow her to entertain such an offer. "I'm afraid that's not possible, Mr. Anderson," she replied. "I'm the owner of the agency, not part of the roster. Please discuss your requirements with Laura, and she'll find the perfect match for you. Now, if you'll excuse me." Disappointed by her response and her apparent detachment, Michael sighed and left the agency without another word. After her brief encounter with Michael Anderson, Emily returned to her office, the bustling hub of Heartfelt Matches. She settled into her desk, reviewing the day's schedule and the various client requests. Despite her professional demeanor, the interaction with Michael lingered in her mind, stirring a mix of curiosity and something deeper she couldn't quite identify. Just as she was about to dive into her work, her phone rang. The caller ID displayed an unfamiliar international number. Emily hesitated for a moment before answering, wondering who might be reaching out from so far away. "Hello, this is Emily," she greeted cautiously. "Emily, it's Jessica Martinez. How have you been?" The voice on the other end was warm and unmistakably familiar. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Jessica Martinez was her childhood best friend from San Juan, Puerto Rico, a bond they had lost touch with after Emily moved to Chicago to pursue her career. "Jessica, it's been ages. I can't believe you found me," Emily exclaimed, a smile spreading across her face. "Yes, I did. I've been trying to reach you for months. I have some exciting news. I'm getting married in Palm Beach, and I'd be honored if you could be my maid of honor," Jessica replied enthusiastically. Emily felt a pang of mixed emotions. She had dedicated her life to her business, often at the expense of personal relationships. The thought of attending her best friend's wedding stirred memories of simpler times and unfulfilled desires. "I'd love to, Jessica. It sounds wonderful," Emily responded, masking the underlying anxiety about reconnecting with her past. As they continued to catch up, Emily learned that Jessica had settled in Palm Beach and was planning a beautiful beachfront wedding. The invitation to return home for her friend's special day brought a whirlwind of thoughts. Could this be an opportunity to rediscover herself beyond the contracts and agreements that defined her life? Later that evening, Emily found herself reflecting on Jessica's request. The words she had heard long ago echoed in her mind. Love isn't about finding someone you can live with. It's about finding someone you can't imagine living without. Could attending the wedding be the catalyst she needed to confront the truths she had long avoided? Determined to embrace the change, Emily began making arrangements for her trip. She delegated her responsibilities at Heartfelt Matches to Laura, ensuring that the agency would continue to operate smoothly in her absence. As she packed her bags, she felt a sense of anticipation mixed with apprehension, leaving behind the structured life she had built for so long. Upon arriving in Palm Beach, Emily was greeted by the warm embrace of her old friend, Jessica. The reunion was heartfelt, filled with laughter and shared memories. The idyllic setting, with its pristine beaches and vibrant atmosphere, provided a stark contrast to the corporate environment Emily was accustomed to. Over the next few days, Emily immersed herself in the wedding preparations, reconnecting with friends and family she had forgotten. As she spent more time with Jessica's fiancé, Daniel Brooks, a charismatic and genuine man, Emily began to feel a spark she hadn't experienced in years. Daniel was everything Emily had admired from a distance: kind, thoughtful, and effortlessly charming. Their conversations flowed naturally, touching on dreams, fears, and the complexities of love. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt seen and understood beyond her professional facade. One evening, as the sun set over the Gulf of Mexico, Daniel and Emily found themselves walking along the shoreline. The gentle sound of waves provided a soothing backdrop to their deepening connection. "You know, Emily," Daniel began thoughtfully, "there's something special about being here, reconnecting with old friends, and rediscovering who we are. It's easy to get lost in our own worlds, but moments like these remind us what truly matters." Emily looked out at the horizon, the golden hues reflecting her inner turmoil and hope. "I've spent so much time focusing on my career, building heartfelt matches, ensuring everything runs perfectly. But sometimes I wonder if I've neglected the most important things." Daniel reached out, gently taking her hand. "It's never too late to find balance, to allow yourself to feel and experience life beyond the confines of work. Maybe this trip is exactly what you needed." Their hands intertwined, and in that moment, Emily felt a shift within herself. The walls she had built to protect her heart began to crumble, making way for the possibility of genuine connection and love. As the wedding day approached, Emily found herself not only playing the role of maid of honor, but also embracing the chance to open her heart to new beginnings. The ceremony was a beautiful celebration of love, and as Emily watched Jessica and Daniel exchange vows, she felt a surge of emotion, realizing that her own capacity for love was far from exhausted. That night, under a starlit sky, Emily and Daniel shared a dance on the beach. Surrounded by the sounds of the ocean and the soft glow of lanterns, their connection deepened, setting the stage for a journey neither of them had anticipated, but both were eager to explore. As the days unfolded in Palm Beach, Emily found herself more immersed in the wedding festivities. She cherished the moments spent with Jessica and Daniel, their friendship rekindling with each shared laugh and heartfelt conversation. However, beneath the surface of joy, Emily felt a growing unease about her own situation back in Chicago. The thought of returning to her life of contracts and superficial relationships weighed heavily on her heart. One evening, after a particularly long day of preparations, Emily sat alone on the balcony of Jessica's elegant beachfront villa. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink as the sun set over the horizon. She reflected on her conversation with Daniel, the way he had effortlessly made her feel understood and valued beyond her professional persona. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Laura, her dedicated assistant back at Heartfelt Matches. "Laura, Emily, everything is under control here. Just focus on your trip and enjoy the wedding preparations. Safe travels back when you return." Emily sighed, feeling a mix of gratitude and longing. She had trusted Laura to manage her agency in her absence, but a part of her couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. The following morning, as the wedding day approached, Emily found herself grappling with the decision she had been avoiding. She knew that attending Jessica's wedding as her maid of honor would inevitably bring her past and present into collision. The fear of facing old insecurities and societal expectations loomed large. That afternoon, while helping arrange the floral decorations, Emily overheard a conversation between two guests discussing the importance of appearances at high-profile events. Their words echoed the sentiments that had driven her to build her matchmaking business, maintaining a flawless image, avoiding personal vulnerabilities. Determined not to let fear dictate her actions, Emily made a decision. She couldn't continue living a life devoid of genuine connections. The idea that love couldn't be bought or arranged began to resonate deeply within her. That evening, as the final touches were being made for the wedding, Emily approached Daniel. They had grown close over the past weeks, their bond strengthening with each passing day. "Daniel," she began, her voice tinged with uncertainty, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said earlier, about finding balance and allowing myself to experience life beyond work." Daniel looked at her with gentle encouragement. "I'm glad to hear that, Emily. Sometimes the hardest part is taking the first step." Emily took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his. "There's something I need to do, something that might change everything." Before Daniel could respond, her phone rang. It was Michael Anderson, the executive from Heartfelt Matches, who had expressed his dissatisfaction earlier. "Michael? Emily, I need to talk to you about a client request. It's urgent." Emily hesitated, glancing between Daniel and her phone. Finally, she answered, "Michael, what's going on?" "Michael, I have a situation that requires immediate attention. A high-profile client needs a companion for an upcoming event in Chicago. Given your expertise, I thought you might be the best person to handle it." Emily's mind raced. Handling a high-profile client's request would mean returning to her meticulously controlled world, but the timing couldn't be worse. Jessica's wedding was in just a few days, and Emily was beginning to question the path she had chosen. "Michael, I appreciate the trust, but I'm currently out of town for a friend's wedding. It's important." There was a brief pause before Michael responded. "I understand, but this client is very particular. I need someone who can not only meet his expectations, but also maintain discretion. If you can help, it would mean a lot to the agency." Emily felt a tug of responsibility. Her professional obligations were calling, but so was her personal awakening. She knew she couldn't ignore either. "I'll see what I can do," she replied, her voice steady, despite the turmoil inside. After hanging up, Emily turned to Daniel, her decision clear. "I need to handle this. It's important for Heartfelt Matches." Daniel nodded, understanding the weight of her responsibilities. "I'll support you, whatever you decide." That night, as Emily prepared for Jessica's wedding, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was at a crossroads. The thought of returning to Chicago and fulfilling her professional duties clashed with her newfound desire for authentic connections and love. On the morning of the wedding, Emily arrived at the beachfront venue, greeted by the vibrant colors and joyous atmosphere. Jessica was radiant, her happiness infectious. As Emily stood by her side, she couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment, mixed with a lingering emptiness. During the ceremony, as Jessica and Daniel exchanged their vows, Emily felt a surge of emotion. The love they shared was evident, and it made her reflect on her own experiences with love, or the lack thereof. The words that had once been just a distant memory now held profound meaning. As the reception began, Emily found herself surrounded by friends and family celebrating their union. Yet, amidst the laughter and dancing, she felt disconnected from the festivities. The conversations about love and partnership only deepened her sense of isolation. Feeling the need for clarity, Emily stepped away from the crowd and took a walk along the beach. The moonlight shimmered on the waves, creating a serene and contemplative atmosphere. It was there, under the vast expanse of the night sky, that she made a pivotal decision. Emily realized that she couldn't continue living a life dictated by contracts and societal expectations. She yearned for genuine connection, the kind that couldn't be orchestrated or paid for. The agency she had built, while successful, had become a barrier to her own happiness. With newfound resolve, Emily decided to return to Chicago and address the deeper issues within Heartfelt Matches. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to transform her business into something that fostered real connections rather than transactional relationships. The next morning, Emily boarded a flight back to Chicago, leaving behind the warmth of Palm Beach and the memories of Jessica's wedding. As the plane ascended, she felt a sense of liberation, ready to embrace the changes that lay ahead. Upon her return, Emily met with Laura to discuss the client's request. She realized that this particular case was an opportunity to bridge her professional life with her personal growth. Instead of merely arranging a companion, she saw a chance to create a meaningful connection. After careful consideration, Emily decided to take on the project herself. She reached out to Michael, proposing a unique approach that aligned with her new vision for the agency. "Michael," she began, "I believe it's time for Heartfelt Matches to evolve. Instead of just providing temporary companions, we should focus on fostering genuine relationships. This client could be our first step in that direction." Michael was initially skeptical, but saw the determination in Emily's eyes. "All right, Emily, let's give it a try." As Emily delved into the client's profile, she discovered that his name was David Collins, a 45-year-old philanthropist with a keen interest in social causes. Unlike previous clients, David was seeking more than just a temporary companion. He wanted someone who could share his passions and potentially build a lasting relationship. Over the next few weeks, Emily worked closely with David, understanding his interests, values, and aspirations. Their interactions were different from anything she had orchestrated before. There was an authenticity and sincerity that resonated with her, challenging her perceptions of love and partnership. Meanwhile, her experiences in Palm Beach continued to influence her approach. She began to incorporate elements of genuine connection into her matchmaking process, blending professionalism with personal insight. One evening, as Emily reviewed David's profile, she realized that she had inadvertently projected some of her own desires for meaningful connection onto the process. The boundaries between her professional role and personal life began to blur, leading her to question the nature of her work. Determined to find balance, Emily decided to set aside her own feelings and focus on facilitating a genuine connection between David and a suitable match. She believed that by prioritizing authenticity over transactions, heartfelt matches could truly make a difference in people's lives. As Emily continued her work, she couldn't help but think back to her time in Palm Beach and the conversations with Daniel. The lessons she had learned about vulnerability, authenticity, and the importance of genuine connections were now guiding her professional decisions. In the end, Emily realized that the true essence of love couldn't be controlled or predicted. It was a force that transcended contracts and agreements, something that had to be nurtured and allowed to grow organically. With this newfound understanding, Emily was ready to transform Heartfelt Matches into a beacon of genuine relationships, where love was celebrated in its purest form. And as she embarked on this journey, she knew that her own path to happiness was just beginning. Upon her return to Chicago, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. The corporate skyline greeted her as she stepped out of the airport, a stark contrast to the serene beaches of Palm Beach. Determined to implement the changes she envisioned for heartfelt matches, she headed straight to her office. Laura was already there, managing the operation smoothly in Emily's absence. "Welcome back, Emily," Laura greeted warmly. "How was the wedding?" "It was beautiful," Emily replied, taking a moment to appreciate the comfort of her own space. "But I think it's time for some changes around here." They settled into a meeting discussing the client's request that had prompted Emily's return. David Collins, a philanthropist with a genuine interest in social causes, was unlike any client she had previously encountered. His profile was more than just a list of preferences. It reflected a depth that resonated with Emily's recent personal revelations. "I've been thinking," Emily began, "we need to approach this differently. David isn't just looking for a temporary companion, he's seeking a meaningful connection. Maybe this is exactly what heartfelt matches needs, a shift towards fostering genuine relationships rather than just transactional ones." Laura nodded thoughtfully. "It's a significant change, but it could set us apart in the industry. How do you propose we start?" Emily outlined her vision, emphasizing personalized matchmaking that delved deeper into clients' personalities, interests, and values. She believed that by prioritizing authenticity, they could create lasting connections that went beyond the superficial arrangements they had previously offered. As they worked on redefining the agency's approach, Emily couldn't help but reflect on her time in Palm Beach. The conversations with Daniel Brooks had sparked something within her, a longing for a connection that felt real and unforced. She realized that her pursuit of professional success had come at the expense of her personal happiness. Days turned into weeks as Emily and Laura revamped heartfelt matches. They introduced new services, such as in-depth consultations and compatibility assessments, aiming to understand clients on a deeper level. The transformation was challenging, but Emily felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't experienced before. Meanwhile, David Collins became an integral part of the transition. His genuine demeanor and passion for social causes aligned perfectly with Emily's new vision. Their meetings were filled with insightful discussions about the future of the agency and the impact they wanted to make on their clients' lives. One afternoon, as Emily and David reviewed a potential match, their hands brushed accidentally. There was a spark, an unspoken connection that neither could ignore. Emily felt a flutter in her chest, a feeling she had long suppressed. "Emily," David began softly, "I want to thank you for everything you've done. This change in heartfelt matches feels right, and I believe we're on the right path." Emily smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in years. "Thank you, David. I couldn't have done it without your support." As they continued working together, their professional relationship deepened. Emily found herself looking forward to their meetings, enjoying the ease and comfort that came with their growing bond. However, she remained cautious, mindful of the boundaries she had set for herself. One evening, after a particularly productive day, David invited Emily to join him for dinner at a quaint restaurant downtown. It was an invitation she couldn't refuse, a chance to unwind and connect on a more personal level. Over dinner they shared stories about their lives, dreams, and the challenges they had faced. Emily felt a sense of liberation, opening up in ways she hadn't allowed herself to before. David listened attentively, his genuine interest making her feel valued and understood. As the night progressed, the conversation took a more intimate turn. Emily realized that her feelings for David were evolving beyond professional respect. The connection they shared was undeniable, and it stirred emotions she had long kept at bay. Back at the office the next morning, Emily couldn't shake the thoughts of the previous night. She found herself smiling at the memory of David's laughter and the way his eyes sparkled when he spoke about his passions. It was a stark contrast to the controlled, emotionless interactions she was accustomed to. Determined to confront her feelings, Emily decided to take a step back and evaluate what she truly wanted. She realized that her pursuit of success had left her lonely, yearning for a connection that was genuine and heartfelt. Meanwhile, David sensed the change in Emily. He admired her dedication and the strength it took to overhaul the agency's approach. One afternoon, he approached her with a gentle smile. "Emily, I've been thinking," he began, "about what you shared last night. I want you to know that I'm here to support you, not just professionally, but personally as well." Emily looked into his eyes, seeing sincerity and care. "Thank you, David. That means a lot to me." Their relationship continued to blossom, intertwining their professional and personal lives in ways neither had anticipated. Emily found herself embracing vulnerability, allowing herself to experience emotions she had long suppressed. As heartfelt matches gained recognition for its new approach, clients began to see the difference. Success followed naturally, but more importantly, Emily felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond business achievements. She was building meaningful connections, both for her clients and for herself. One sunny afternoon, as Emily and David walked through a local park discussing a new matchmaking strategy, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, you've changed so much since I first met you. It's inspiring to see you embrace who you truly are." She smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. "I couldn't have done it without your encouragement, David. You've helped me see what's truly important." They paused near a blooming garden, the vibrant colors reflecting the blossoming relationship between them. In that moment, Emily realized that love wasn't something to be arranged or controlled. It was something to be nurtured and allowed to grow naturally. As the seasons changed, so did their relationship. What began as a professional collaboration evolved into a deep and meaningful romance. Emily and David supported each other through challenges, celebrated each other's successes, and built a partnership grounded in mutual respect and genuine affection. Heartfelt matches thrived, becoming a beacon for those seeking authentic connections. Emily's journey had transformed not only her business, but also her personal life, teaching her that true happiness lies in embracing vulnerability and allowing love to unfold naturally. Upon her return to Chicago, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. The bustling city skyline greeted her as she stepped out of the airport, a stark contrast to the serene beaches of Palm Beach. Determined to implement the changes she envisioned for heartfelt matches, she headed straight to her office. Laura was already there, managing the operation smoothly in Emily's absence. "Welcome back, Emily," Laura greeted warmly. "How was the wedding?" "It was beautiful," Emily replied, taking a moment to appreciate the comfort of her own space. "But I think it's time for some changes around here." They settled into a meeting, discussing the client's request that had prompted Emily's return. David Collins, a philanthropist with a genuine interest in social causes, was unlike any client she had previously encountered. His profile was more than just a list of preferences. It reflected a depth that resonated with Emily's recent personal revelations. "I've been thinking," Emily began, "we need to approach this differently. David isn't just looking for a temporary companion, he's seeking a meaningful connection. Maybe this is exactly what heartfelt matches needs, a shift towards fostering genuine relationships rather than just transactional ones." Laura nodded thoughtfully. "It's a significant change, but it could set us apart in the industry. How do you propose we start?" Emily outlined her vision, emphasizing personalized matchmaking that delved deeper into clients' personalities, interests, and values. She believed that by prioritizing authenticity, They could create lasting connections that went beyond the superficial arrangements they had previously offered. As they worked on redefining the agency's approach, Emily couldn't help but reflect on her time in Palm Beach. The conversations with Daniel Brooks had sparked something within her, a longing for a connection that felt real and unforced. She realized that her pursuit of professional success had come at the expense of her personal happiness. Days turned into weeks as Emily and Laura revamped heartfelt matches. They introduced new services, such as in-depth consultations and compatibility assessments, aiming to understand clients on a deeper level. The transformation was challenging, but Emily felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't experienced before. Meanwhile, David Collins became an integral part of the transition. His genuine demeanor and passion for social causes aligned perfectly with Emily's new vision. Their meetings were filled with insightful discussions about the future of the agency and the impact they wanted to make on their clients' lives.